All right, guys. So to start our journaling this week, we are going to participate in a guided writing practice. And we've done these in class a little bit. We're going to see how they go here. But to start, here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and find yourself in a place where you are comfortable writing. Maybe it's your room, maybe it's the kitchen counter, maybe it is the living room, maybe it is the laundry room. I used to do a lot of my homework on the bathroom floor for some odd reason. Find yourself in a place you're comfortable writing for a little while and go ahead and get situated. So the first thing I want you to do, and feel free to pause this video at any point if you're feeling like you're getting behind or you're feeling like you want to do a little bit more writing on something that we moved on from, go ahead and pause it at any time. It's one of the perks of the video guided practice. So use it to your best ability. So once you've found a nice place to be, I want you guys to open up whatever document you're using to do your journaling in, whether that is an online document or whether that is an actual journal or notebook. Open up to a fresh sheet of paper. Now, the first thing you're going to write is what we do for every journal entry, which is start with the day, the date, the time, and the location that you are writing in. Okay, so name the space that you are in, and you can do this creatively. Every time you can do it differently. Maybe you name the room. Maybe you name the chair or the furniture that you're using. Maybe you describe the things that you see. Maybe you look out the window and describe the weather. But place yourself in time. Again, this is one of the nice things about a journal. When you look back on it in years to come, you may actually remember where you are if you write it down. All right. So the first thing that I want everybody to do once you've got your page set up is to put your pen down and close your eyes. I know it's going to be a little bit funny because I'm not actually there, so you could ignore me entirely. But it's more fun if you play along, I promise. So go ahead. Pen down, close your eyes. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to play with the elements of storytelling. And I'm going to get you guys to tell a story from your childhood and relate it to your experience that you're currently having in quarantine or in your period of distancing. So we'll start with an older memory and we'll move forward and relate it to the experience we're currently having. This is a very, very useful journaling technique that, if you're struggling with what to write about, even if you're starting your own journaling, it's great. Recall a memory, relate it to your current experience. So here's the kind of memory I want you guys to play with. So go ahead and look back far in time, and I want you to find your earliest memory. What is the earliest memory that you have? And I want you to think about it. I want you to think through what you remember from that memory. And if you can't remember the earliest memory, just pick a memory from long ago, from as long ago as you possibly can. Maybe that was a year ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe you're someone with a great memory. You can remember something from when you were 3 or 4. That's awesome. Just find something to play with, okay? Everybody got a memory? Good. The next thing that you're going to do, with your eyes closed, I want you to recall the space that you are in. What objects can you remember from that memory? What sights or sounds or smells can you recall? Get some of those in your mind, okay? Who's there? Bring back the people who were in the room or who had this experience with you. What relationships can you recall from this memory? What were you like? Thinking about character now. What were you wearing? What kind of child were you when you were younger? Were you shy? Were you vivacious? Were you outgoing? Were you talkative, introverted? Were you a loner? Were you social? Were you someone who liked to play games? Did you play sports? Did you make art? What type of young person were you? You're thinking through these things. And lastly, were there any conflicts in your life at this time? I mean, as a young person, it's hard to tell, but you're a little bit older. You can probably recognize there might have been conflicts around you that you're now aware of, or you weren't then. Get all of these in your mind. All right. Now go ahead and pick up your pen. And we're going to do what we've done in the past, which is to actually write for 5 straight minutes without stopping. Okay? Now, nobody's going to know but you. But I'm going to trust that you're not going to take your pencil off the page for 5 straight minutes. You're going to have your first entry done. Okay? We're going to go through the 4 elements of storytelling and tell the story of this memory. Okay? And then at the end, we're going to relate it to our current circumstance. Sound good? All right. First things first, I'm going to start the clock right now, and we're going to begin with environment, and you're going to describe the environment as best as you can without stopping. If you get stuck, remember what the strategy is to repeat the last phrase that you did over and over again until your mind will inevitably kick you off somewhere else. Okay? So on the count of 3, we're going to begin writing, and you're going to begin by explaining and exploring the environment from this memory. 1, 2, 3, go. What do you see? Maybe you're just starting with a list of objects. What are the things in the space from your memory? What is the lighting like? What was the weather like? What kind of objects are in this space wherever this memory occurred? What other things do you notice about this space? If you're inside, what color are the walls? What are the textures like on the wood of the floor or the carpet of the floor? What color is the floor? What kinds of furniture are around? What things do you see? Moving on to hear. What sounds do you hear in this memory? Do you hear the sounds of your parents talking? Do you hear the dog barking? Do you hear cars driving outside? What kinds of things might you have heard in this memory? The cat purring, the click-clack of dog paws on hardwood, the radiator buzzing, hissing. I can hear my radiator buzzing and hissing. Did you hear arguments going on in the kitchen? Did you hear your siblings fighting? Great. Moving on into smells. What kinds of smells might you have experienced during this memory? Can you recall them? And if you can't, go ahead and make them up. Imagine what you could have smelled. Reflection and memory is an act of reconstruction. So we have a little bit of liberty. What kinds of associations do you have with this time and place? Great. We've done sight, we've done sound, we've done smell. And let's go ahead and move on into character. So describe yourself. What kind of a young person were you? What are you wearing in this memory? What are you feeling in this memory? What are you experiencing? What are you doing? How are you walking? Do you have tics or habits? I might have described myself as biting my fingernails as a young person, or running downstairs to play my video games, or me and my sister making, basically, heaps of clothing, building islands in our room, playing make-believe as young people. What kinds of things are you doing in this memory? Good. Moving on into relationships, what relationships do you have at this time that are important to you? And remember, you can pause at any time and continue playing with a section if we're moving too fast. What relationships are important to you during this memory? Who is around? What do they look like, sound like? What do you feel about them? Play with relationship. What relationships are there? So we've done environment, character, relationship, and the last one, the toughest one, conflict. What kinds of conflicts were going on within you as a young person, as a younger person? Even if maybe you were unaware of them at the time, what are you now aware of? Conflicts that may have been going on inside you or outside of you for that matter. Were there things that bothered you as a young person? Were there things you wanted as a young person? Were there forces at play you didn't have control over as a young person? What kinds of things can you find? Make sure that the action of the story is clear. What is the memory actually? What is happening in this memory? Are there things that people say? Can you quote anybody in this memory? Good. So I hope that went well, and please, make sure you're pausing if you've got more to write about the memory. But once you're done with your memory, I want you to now relate that memory to your current situation. What has changed? What has stayed the same? And go back through environment, relationship, character, and conflict. How are you different? How is your relationship with whoever it is that you were discussing in the earlier memory? How is that different? How has your environment changed? Are you in the same house or is it a different house? Are you in the same room or is it a different room? How have you changed? How's your character changed? And lastly, give us how the conflict in your life has changed. And maybe this is about the coronavirus. Maybe this is about something totally different. But the goal of this first entry is to take your first, earliest memory, something that you could play with, make some meaning from it, and relate it to where you are now. This is a great journaling technique and something you can use in times to come. That was about 5 to 7 minutes. I hope you were able to get an entry out of it. I'm looking forward to reading these particular ones. You can go ahead and find your additional prompts for your entries for later this week below. And I'm looking forward to reading them. Happy writing, y'all. And I'll talk to y'all very, very soon.